Hey, what's up everybody? Colin Goodwin here, back with the Property Management Podio series. Today I'm going to be talking about client services. Now, the whole intent of client services is to take the repetitive requests that you receive over and over and over and streamline them and automate them to save you time. In a nutshell, that's client services. Now, as property managers, we have several clients. We've got tenants, we've got owners, we've got vendors. And when breaking it down to a science, there's typically 3 to 5 activities that each person has a request. Now, it always seems that there's an anomaly, but traditionally it's the same request over and over again. An example on our demo property management website, the first thing we did is we built a smart contact form. Now, usually when you go to a contact form, the first thing you see is just a name, an email input, and then a message. But in order to shed a lot of those requests that can be taken care of on our website, what we've done is we've gone ahead and built a dynamic contact form. For example, if someone says, I'd like to schedule a showing, and they hit submit, it automatically redirects them to the showing scheduling calendar that we talked about previously. And the same applies for applications, maintenance requests, listing your property. All these inputs can be done online. Now, say they get past all the other inputs and they actually want to submit a request and send a message. You can see simply by selecting that option, it auto-populates this form. And in this scenario, we're going to be talking about tenant services. We're going to select, I am a current tenant. And you can see when that happens, this other field pops up. I'm inquiring about a neighbor complaint, late rent, lease renewal, document request, other. And for the purposes of this example, I'm just going to say late rent. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill out the form. And now we've submitted that form, we're going to go back to our Tenant Services dashboard. Now that we're in our Tenant Services dashboard, you can see that this request has come through. Where this is very cool is on any given day, you can have multiple requests, and you can come through and give attention to all the open requests. So you can see simply just by submitting that form, the tenant came through as Colin Goodwin, the date they submitted, the time they submitted, and the actions. Now, if it was a website action, it would have taken care of that on the website, but it wasn't. Remember, they selected other and they wanted to send us a message. Now, if you remember on the contact form, they said they were going to be late with rent. And one of the cool things, and the way I use this function is I had a staff. I had a team that would answer these inquiries on a daily basis. And we had a policy for late rent. Just because you called in and told us that your rent was going to be late wouldn't necessarily mean that we would waive your fees. Now, we would likely work with you and work a payment plan out. We're going to work out something. But what I did is I went ahead and I put our policy over here in the help text. So you can see right here, number 4, oftentimes tenants will call in confessing that they will be late on rent. While this is certainly an appreciated gesture, the intent of the tenant is typically to request the late fees be waived. And then I told them some common responses, told them our policy. Here's the cool part. On any given action, we can auto-generate an email. So by the tenant simply selecting that they were going to be late on their rent from the website, we can auto-generate an email to them saying, hey, thanks for that. We certainly appreciate the gesture. Unfortunately, here's our policy. And that's one call off your plate that you didn't have to make. So if that was the case, we could auto-generate an email simply by selecting this or simply by having it submitted on the web form at any given time. Now, there's some other options, a civil complaint, and where that comes into play that's really helpful is if we do have a civil complaint, we can start documenting these things and keep up with them. Then we can tag it against a specific property, and as time progresses, we have a history of all these complaints. Financial inquiry, lease renewal, paperwork requests, there's an unlimited amount of options that we could use here, but this is just showing you the power of organizing your workflow and automating it to where the most common requests that are done over and over get handled with ease, with the click of a button. Everybody's on the same page, and it saves you tons of time during the day. So we're going to go ahead and mark that closed, and we're going to move on to the next one. Now, the second portion of our client services demonstration would be owner services. Now, very similar to tenant services, but this is a different subset. Really, what would fall into this classification, if an owner went to the website, they submitted a form, they went through a similar flow that the tenant did, yet instead of dealing with a tenant, we're dealing with an owner, we're dealing with a different subset of actions. So that's why it calls for its own app. So we're going to go ahead and add that And you can see some common actions that we've preloaded. Can't log into owner's portal. Well, that's easy enough. We can click that and it can auto-generate an email to them. It will send them a password request. Man, that's right off of our plate. They're thrilled because they got extremely fast service. Literally within a matter of seconds of clicking the button on the website, it auto-generated an email to them. They have exactly what they want. Questions in regards to a financial statement, if they select that option, you can route that to your accountant, or you can save that. You can create a task, or you can just leave this for the end of the day or the beginning of the day, however you like to operate, as a series of events that you have to tackle, and yet you always know who's open, who's been dealt with, and you can always see a history. Property condition inquiry, schedule a meeting. Now, these are all very common tasks that typically would require a call if you're keeping up with your client services. But again, this is going to funnel everything and make sure that everything is in one central location, and you can auto-generate emails at the click of a button based on any of these. Now, the last part in our client services demonstration is vendor services. Now, if someone contacts your company, remember, this can all be related to if someone's taking phone calls, they can use this as a workflow, or if you just want to create an automated way to respond to these people, you now have these 3 apps that usually fall in one of those categories when they call your business. Either they're an owner, a tenant, or they're a vendor. Now, in the case of a vendor, we can collect their information, and they're saying, hey, we want to send you a bill. We can click this button, we can auto-generate an email, say, hey, here's how to bill us. So you send your billing to our billing email address, which will go right into Podio and allow us to handle it. If they're checking a billing status, again, you can create an email that goes to the accountant, or you can create a status on that. If they become a vendor, if they want to do work for your company, you can have an auto-generated email pre-populated with your policy on it, how to become a vendor, what's required. You can send that to them, then they can opt in and go through the background check, whatever needs to be done. If they need property access, again, this is all very simple stuff that we can take care of. Landlord verification, that's very common for utility companies and TV internet companies that need access to the property, or they have to call you for approval to drill holes in any property. So that's the last part of this series. And again, while very simple, you can see the power that these 3 apps will give you going forward in keeping your workflow organized and making your clients happy.